I want you to think about something that most people never realize until they are already exhausted. After more than 40 years in medicine, I have watched thousands of patients walk into my office carrying the weight of sleepless nights on their faces, in their posture, in the way they speak about their days. They come to me asking for sleeping pills, for medication, for something quick that will fix the problem. And I understand that desperation, because sleep is not just rest. Sleep is when your body heals itself, when your brain cleans out the waste that builds up during the day, when your heart gets the recovery it needs to keep beating strong for decades to come. But here is what I learned after watching patients struggle and then finally find their way back to deep, restful sleep. The problem is almost never what people think it is. The solution is rarely found in a bottle of pills. It lives in the small, simple choices we make throughout the day, choices that either prepare our bodies for rest or guarantee another night of staring at the ceiling, wondering why sleep will not come. Let me tell you about something I noticed early in my career. When I was a younger doctor, I thought insomnia was mostly a problem of the mind, of stress and anxiety keeping people awake. And yes, those things matter, but as I got older and started paying closer attention to the lives of my patients, I began to see a pattern that nobody was talking about. The people who slept well into their 70s and 80s and even 90s were not necessarily the ones with less stress or fewer problems. They were the ones who had built their entire day around preparing their body for sleep, often without even realizing they were doing it. They moved their bodies in the morning. They ate their last meal hours before bed. They had routines that signaled to their brain that it was time to wind down. They respected the rhythm of light and darkness that our bodies have been following for thousands of years. And the people who could not sleep, the ones who lay awake night after night, were often doing the opposite. They were sitting all day, eating late into the evening, staring at screens until the moment they tried to close their eyes, flooding their system with caffeine and sugar and artificial light at times when their body desperately needed darkness and calm. I want to be very clear about something. Sleep is not a luxury. It is not something you can afford to ignore just because you made it this far in life without prioritizing it. Poor sleep is connected to almost every major health problem we face as we age. Heart disease, diabetes, cognitive decline, depression, weakened immune function, increased inflammation throughout the body. When you do not sleep well, your body cannot repair the damage that happens naturally during the day. Your brain cannot clear out the proteins that build up and contribute to dementia. Your heart does not get the rest it needs to recover from the constant work of pumping blood. Your hormones fall out of balance. Your blood sugar regulation suffers. Everything becomes harder when you are not sleeping deeply and consistently. And yet most people treat sleep like it is supposed to just happen automatically, like they can abuse their body all day long and then expect it to shut down peacefully at night. That is not how it works. Sleep is something you earn through the choices you make from the moment you wake up. So let me walk you through what I have learned works, not from reading studies, although the research supports all of this, but from watching real people transform their sleep and their health by making changes that cost nothing and require no prescription. The first thing you need to understand is that your body runs on a rhythm. We call it the circadian rhythm, but you do not need to remember that term. What you need to remember is that your body is designed to be awake when the sun is up and asleep when the sun is down. For most of human history, that is exactly how we lived. But now we have artificial light everywhere, screens in every room, the ability to make it bright as noon in the middle of the night, and our bodies are confused. Your brain produces a hormone called melatonin when it gets dark, and that hormone makes you sleepy. But if you are sitting in a brightly lit room staring at a television or a phone or a computer screen, your brain thinks it is still daytime. It stops producing melatonin, and then you wonder why you are not tired even though it is 11 o'clock at night. This is not complicated. If you want to sleep well, you need to start dimming the lights in your home as the evening progresses. You need to turn off screens at least an hour before bed, maybe 2 hours if you really struggle with sleep. You need to let your brain know that the day is ending and it is time to start preparing for rest. Morning light is just as important, and this is something almost nobody talks about. When you wake up in the morning, your body needs to see bright light as soon as possible. That bright light tells your brain that it is daytime, that it is time to be alert, that it is time to stop producing melatonin and start producing the hormones that wake you up and give you energy. If you wake up and immediately stay inside with dim indoor lighting, your brain stays in a sort of twilight state. You feel groggy all morning. You reach for coffee to compensate. And then by the time evening comes, your body is still not sure what time of day it is. So here's what I tell people. Get outside within the first hour of waking up. Even if it is cloudy, even if it is cold, even if you just stand on your porch or walk to the end of your driveway. Get natural light in your eyes. Let your body know the day has started. If you can go for a walk in the morning, even better. That combination of light and movement is one of the most powerful things you can do to set yourself up for good sleep 12 or 14 hours later. Now let me talk about movement, because this is another piece that people underestimate. Your body is designed to move. For most of human history, people were walking and working and using their bodies all day long. They were physically tired by the end of the day. Their muscles needed rest. Their body was ready to shut down and recover. But now most of us sit for hours and hours, and then we are surprised when our body does not feel tired at night. If you are not moving during the day, your body has no reason to demand deep restorative sleep. You have not used your muscles. You have not challenged your cardiovascular system. You have not created the physical fatigue that makes sleep feel necessary and natural. I am not saying you need to run marathons or lift heavy weights, although those things are great if you can do them. I am saying you need to move your body enough that it feels like it has worked. A 30-minute walk every morning, some stretching or yoga or simple strength exercises a few times a week, anything that gets your heart rate up a little bit and reminds your muscles that they still have a job to do. The people I know who sleep best are the ones who move their bodies consistently, not obsessively, just consistently. Let me tell you something else I have noticed. The time you eat your last meal of the day has a bigger impact on your sleep than most people realize. When you eat a big meal late at night, your body has to spend the next several hours digesting that food. Your stomach is working, your intestines are working, your metabolism is ramping up to process all those calories. And all of that activity makes it much harder to fall into deep sleep. I have had patients tell me they sleep terribly, and when I ask them what time they eat dinner, they say 9 or 10 o'clock at night. Then they go to bed an hour later and wonder why they feel restless and uncomfortable. Your body cannot digest food and sleep deeply at the same time. It just cannot. So here is a simple rule. Try to finish eating at least 3 hours before you go to bed. If you go to bed at 10, finish dinner by 7. If that feels impossible, start by pushing dinner back just 30 minutes earlier than you currently eat. Give your body time to digest before you ask it to sleep. And if you get hungry later in the evening, drink some water or herbal tea, something warm and soothing that does not require digestion. Most of the time when people think they are hungry at night, They are actually just bored or restless or looking for comfort. A warm cup of chamomile tea can give you that comfort without disrupting your sleep. Alcohol is another thing we need to talk about, and I know this is not what people want to hear. Many people believe that alcohol helps them sleep because it makes them feel drowsy. And yes, alcohol is a sedative. It can help you fall asleep faster, but it absolutely destroys the quality of your sleep. When you drink alcohol before bed, you might fall asleep quickly, but your sleep is fragmented. You do not get into the deep restorative stages of sleep that your body needs. You wake up multiple times during the night, even if you do not remember it. Your brain stays in a lighter stage of sleep. And then you wake up in the morning feeling tired and unrested, even though you were in bed for 8 hours. I've had so many patients tell me their sleep improved dramatically when they stopped drinking alcohol in the evening, especially in the 2 or 3 hours before bed. If you want to have a drink, have it earlier in the day. Let your body metabolize it before you try to sleep. Or better yet, experiment with going a week or 2 without any alcohol and see how you feel. I think you will be surprised. Caffeine is something else people do not think about carefully enough. Caffeine has a half-life of about 5 to 6 hours, which means that if you drink a cup of coffee at 3 in the afternoon, half of that caffeine is still in your system at 9 o'clock at night. And even though you might not feel wired, that caffeine is still affecting your brain, still making it harder to fall asleep and stay asleep. I am not saying you cannot have caffeine. I am saying you need to be strategic about when you have it. If you struggle with sleep, try cutting off all caffeine by noon or 1 in the afternoon. See if that makes a difference. Some people are more sensitive to caffeine than others, and that sensitivity often increases as we get older. What you could tolerate in your 30s and 40s might be interfering with your sleep now. Pay attention to how your body responds and adjust accordingly. Your bedroom environment matters more than you think. I have walked into patients' homes and seen televisions in the bedroom, bright alarm clocks glowing in the dark, piles of laundry and paperwork and clutter everywhere, and then they tell me they cannot relax when they go to bed. Your bedroom should be a place that your brain associates with sleep and rest, nothing else. If you are watching television in bed, working on your laptop in bed, scrolling through your phone in bed, your brain starts to think of the bedroom as a place for activity and stimulation, not rest. Make your bedroom dark, I mean really dark. Blackout curtains if you need them. Cover or remove any sources of light. Make it cool. Your body sleeps better in a slightly cool environment, somewhere around 65 to 68 degrees if possible. Make it quiet. If you live in a noisy area, consider a white noise machine or a fan to block out disruptive sounds. And make it clean and simple. You do not need to turn your bedroom into a monastery, but getting rid of clutter and distractions can help your mind settle when it is time to sleep. Now let me talk about something that might be the most important piece of all, and that is having a consistent routine. Your body loves predictability. When you go to bed at the same time every night and wake up at the same time every morning, your body starts to anticipate that rhythm. It begins producing the right hormones at the right times. It knows when to feel alert and when to feel sleepy. But when your schedule is all over the place, going to bed at 10 one night and midnight the next, sleeping in on weekends, and then trying to wake up early on Monday, your body has no idea what to expect. It is like living in a state of permanent jet lag. So pick a bedtime that works for you and stick to it as closely as you can, even on weekends. Pick a wake-up time and stick to that too. It might feel restrictive at first, but after a week or 2, you will notice that you start feeling sleepy at the same time every night, and waking up naturally around the same time every morning. That is your body finding its rhythm again. Let me also talk about what to do if you wake up in the middle of the night, because this happens to almost everyone, especially as we get older. The worst thing you can do is lie there staring at the ceiling, getting more and more frustrated. That frustration and anxiety just make it harder to fall back asleep. If you have been awake for more than 20 minutes, get up, go to another room, do something calm and quiet in dim light. Read a book, not on a screen but an actual book. Do some gentle stretching. Sit in a comfortable chair and breathe slowly. The goal is not to stimulate yourself, but to break the cycle of frustration. When you start feeling sleepy again, go back to bed. And whatever you do, do not turn on bright lights and do not look at your phone. Both of those things will wake your brain up completely and make it even harder to get back to sleep. I also want to address something that people are often embarrassed to talk about, and that is the mental side of sleep. Anxiety, worry, rumination, all of those things can keep you awake even when your body is tired. And here is what I have learned. You cannot think your way out of anxiety at 2 a.m. If you are lying in bed worrying about something, your brain is not going to suddenly solve the problem and let you rest. What you can do is practice letting those thoughts go. I know that sounds simple, but it takes practice. When a worried thought comes into your mind, acknowledge it, and then gently bring your attention back to your breath. In and out, slow and steady. Some people find it helpful to count their breaths. Some people repeat a calming word or phrase. Some people imagine a peaceful place. It does not matter what technique you use. What matters is that you train your mind to release the thoughts instead of grabbing onto them and spiraling. This is not about forcing yourself to stop thinking. It is about noticing the thoughts and choosing not to engage with them. And like anything else, it gets easier with practice. There is also something called sleep restriction that can be helpful if you are really struggling. The idea is simple. If you are spending 9 hours in bed but only sleeping 5 of those hours, you are training your body to associate bed with being awake. So instead, you limit your time in bed to match the amount you are actually sleeping. If you are only sleeping 5 hours, only spend 5.5 hours in bed. Yes, you will be tired at first, but after a few days your body starts to sleep more efficiently during that limited time. Then you gradually add back more time in bed as your sleep improves. This is not something I recommend doing on your own without guidance, but it is worth knowing that it exists, especially if you have been struggling with insomnia for a long time. Sometimes the answer is not trying harder to sleep, but actually spending less time in bed so that the time you do spend there is associated with actual sleep. Let me tell you what I have seen happen when people finally commit to sleeping well. Their energy comes back, their mood improves. They stop getting sick as often because their immune system is finally getting the rest it needs. Their thinking becomes sharper. They have more patience, more resilience, more capacity to enjoy their lives. The aches and pains that seemed like just part of getting older often get better because their body is finally getting the recovery time it needs. Their blood pressure comes down. Their blood sugar stabilizes. They lose weight without even trying because their hormones are balanced and they are not craving sugar and carbohydrates all day to compensate for exhaustion. Sleep is not just about feeling rested. It is about giving your body the conditions it needs to function the way it was designed to function. And when you do that, everything else gets easier. I know it can feel overwhelming to think about changing so many things at once. So do not try to change everything at once. Pick one thing. Maybe it is getting morning sunlight every day. Maybe it is finishing dinner 3 hours before bed. Maybe it is turning off screens an hour earlier. Pick one thing and do it consistently for a week. See how it affects your sleep. Then add another thing. Small changes build on each other. You do not need to be perfect. You just need to be consistent. And if you slip up, if you stay up too late one night or eat a big meal right before bed, do not spiral into guilt and frustration. Just get back on track the next day. Your body is forgiving. It wants to sleep well. It is designed to sleep well. You just have to stop working against it and start working with it. After all these years in medicine, I can tell you with absolute certainty that the quality of your sleep will determine the quality of the rest of your life. You can eat perfectly and exercise every day, but if you are not sleeping well, you are missing the foundation that everything else is built on. Sleep is when healing happens. Sleep is when your brain consolidates memories and clears out waste. Sleep is when your heart rests and recovers. Sleep is when your body rebuilds itself for another day. And the beautiful thing is that improving your sleep does not require money or technology or access to specialists. It requires paying attention to the rhythms of your body, respecting the simple truths that we have known for thousands of years, and making choices throughout your day that prepare you for rest instead of fighting against it. You are not broken. Your body is not failing you. You have just been asking it to do something it was never designed to do, which is sleep deeply while you fill your days and nights with things that prevent deep sleep. Change those things, and your body will remember how to rest. I have seen it happen over and over again. People who have not slept well in years finally sleeping through the night. People who thought they would need pills forever realizing they do not need them anymore. People rediscovering what it feels like to wake up truly rested and ready for the day. That is available to you. It is waiting for you. All you have to do is make the choice to honor your body's need for rest, and then follow through with the small daily actions that make rest possible. Sleep is not something that happens to you. It is something you create through the life you live, and you have more control over it than you think.